Whoa.
Why?
Why are we talking about this? Hello, welcome to Guides to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are talking about Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Your good friend Sweeney.
That's right. He's a bad man who is offering haircuts and a little extra, death, and then popping you into a pie.
That's right. Yeah, I wrote down just for like this little opening segment. I was like, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, here's like the tightest synopsis of this idea, this concept of Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street. Sweeney Todd is a barber in London in the disgusting 1800s, is what I wrote. Rats
everywhere.
So gross, so disgusting.
It seems like they don't even need the human bodies.
No.
Rats. Abundant.
Eat the rats.
Yeah. It couldn't be more obvious.
It's right in front of you.
Right.
By the way, this episode was suggested by our viewer and listener, Jesse.
Yes.
In the YouTube chat last week. We record live every week. youtube.com/GTTUpod. So anyway, Sweeney Todd has a barbershop by a disgusting meat pie shop run by Mrs. Lovett.
Yeah. I think it's a top.
It depends on the...
Okay.
As we get into it, I've got some history of like where the story came from.
Yeah.
But so together, they have come up with a very efficient operation of murder and theft. Sweeney Todd kills his customers and then steals their valuables. And Mrs. Lovett then dismembers their bodies and bakes them into her pies to sell.
Yeah.
It has also become a revenge story over the years where Sweeney Todd is almost an anti-hero.
Uh-huh.
To some extent.
Right.
We'll get into all the like further incarnations in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But also worth pointing out is that you and I used to go to a barbershop that was called Sweeney Todd's in East Brunswick, New Jersey. I'm sure there are countless.
It's a mini chain.
It is?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I have no doubt that there are like thousands of Sweeney Todd barbershops across the globe.
Probably.
But having no awareness of what Sweeney Todd was and then finding out.
I know, same.
I was like, is it kind of cool to call your barbershop Sweeney Todd's? They didn't lean into any sort of like, they didn't even have like a Victorian style.
No, and it's just a straight up salon. Like they do all things, not just barbering.
Right.
But no, it's just like a, kind of a walk-in hair place.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is kind of weird to call it that without the theme, I think.
Yeah, it's strange to not have additional.
No, it's just like a normal place with like, a Matrix poster in the window. Matrix the hair products.
No, it's Neo. Neo and Morpheus and their sunglasses, but it's inexplicably called Sweeney Todd's.
Yeah.
I went in for a trim. I was lucky to come out with my life.
You're right,
Chris.
Will.
So we'll get more into Sweeney Todd after this commercial break. Okay. So I think I'm going to talk about Sweeney Todd, the story.
Yeah.
Because it goes back into like the mid 1800s. It was really fun to do the research on this because I love finding out about a story that I sort of think of as being relatively modern. And then you start digging a little bit and you realize that like it goes back. In truth, it probably goes back even further.
Yeah.
So the earliest incarnation of the Sweeney Todd story was published in a series of what they called penny dreadfuls.
Right.
So these were like literally you're living in the mid 1800s in disgusting London and you've got nothing to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so they would, this is one of the first times that people were able to like mass produce books. And so they would grind out these very, very cheap magazines that were full of short stories. Either a lot of them were like horror oriented, like about vampires and stuff.
Yeah.
Or detective stories, crime books, whatever. And Sweeney Todd was one of these stories that was published on like cheap paper, literally sold for a penny, which is how these little booklets got called penny dreadfuls.
It's an awesome name.
It's an awesome name. It became, I know that name ended up getting used as a show.
Yes.
A Josh Hartnett show. I don't really know much about that show.
I don't either. I think people liked it though.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. But I love the idea of these like zines.
Yeah.
Like 1800s zines.
Yeah.
And what was fun to me about Sweeney Todd is I'm so used to thinking about Sweeney Todd as either obviously the movie, which we'll get to, or the musical play, like the stage play, I'm used to thinking of Sweeney Todd as a singular story.
Right. Not like, so was it serialized in Penny Dreadfuls?
Yes.
Okay.
Over the course of like 18 weeks or something, the story of Sweeney Todd was told in like chapters.
That's
week
cool.
by week. So it would cost you 18 pennies.
Yeah.
All told to get the full story.
You could read these to Zoe as chapter books.
You're right. I've been looking for a good chapter book for a 3-year-old,
Yeah.
everybody. And Sweeney Todd might be the answer to my prayers.
Yes.
She'll love it. Has never had a haircut before. That would really, if you've never had a haircut and Sweeney Todd is your introduction to the idea of somebody with sharp objects around your head,
Gonna mess you right up.
it would probably mess with everything forever.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life. Haircuts would be a nightmare. But so I love the idea, and I don't know the following, but I love the idea of, say, the people that were writing the story, Sweeney Todd. I wonder if they had time or awareness to be like, well, the first 4 weeks people didn't like it, so let's make sure we get some more murders in there
Yeah.
in
right.
the next ones. Like, how quickly were they able to pivot from audience feedback or something like that?
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's
Who
not
knows?
impossible.
Yeah.
But I love the idea that like Sweeney Todd started as sort of like this living, breathing story. And so, yeah, spoiler alert, it was published in these Penny Dreadfuls, but it seems like it may have found inspiration from even earlier stories. Like literally just like people being like, yeah, there's a barber who's also a killer.
Oh.
Like
yeah.
as simple as that.
I mean, it is somebody who you go see who's wielding a sharp object.
And not only that, but like in the 1800s and earlier, barbers were also surgeons.
Yes, it's insane.
So it'd be like, well, you need something cut off? Well, I've
Right.
already got sharp stuff.
Right, the barber pole was, I actually don't remember. I had to learn it in cosmetology school, but like the white, so like barber pole is like what, red, white, and blue, right? I think so.
Red, I think just, is it red, white, and blue or just red and white?
I don't know. I'm not
You
sure.
went to a very patriotic
Yeah.
cosmetology school.
I don't know, but I think it's like the white was like signifying bandages or something.
Okay.
The red was signifying blood. And I was thinking maybe it is just red and white. I don't know.
It's interesting though. So it was, they were called like barber surgeons
Yeah.
at the time. So the idea of somebody that's like going to cut your hair and then also like cut off a growth.
Yes.
You know, like this was incredibly common. So it was almost like a logical stretch into horror to be like, well, they will also kill you.
Yeah.
It's like a one-stop shop. You can get a haircut, you can get some surgery, and you can end your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Just call it quits right there in the barber seat. But so anyway, this was also, I felt worth pointing out. We've sort of talked about Penny Dreadfuls before, only
Yeah.
sort of, when we talked about Spring-Heeled Jack. Remember Spring-Heeled Jack?
I sure do. I really enjoyed Spring-Heeled Jack.
He was a jaunty Victorian fella who literally, he looked like Batman of the 1800s in London.
Yeah.
And he was a figure in these Penny Dreadfuls. We talked about him way back in episode 14 of Guide to the Unknown. Sweeney Todd is our second Penny Dreadful like icon.
He was a nut. Just to backtrack, just in case anybody's wondering. So barber poles are red, white, and blue. And the look, I'm on history.com. The look of the barber pole is linked to bloodletting, with red representing blood and white representing the bandages used to stem the bleeding. The pole itself is said to symbolize the stick that a patient squeezed to make the veins in his arm stand out more prominently for the procedure. And the blue was representing those veins.
Jesus. I know. Kind of like a sicko,
I know.
sick creep.
I know.
And that,
crazy.
How is it possible that that simple thing of a barber pole became so iconic that it is still all
Right.
over the place today?
I don't know. It's cuckoo.
It's crazy.
I know.
That's where
I feel like we expected too much of barbers.
Oh yeah, we did. I think it was completely appropriate. Whoever made the decision when they were like, you know what, I think we've got at least two professions
Right.
here that
We've
need to
got
be
more.
divided.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you do. Yeah, the barber does not need to be a surgeon, and the surgeon doesn't need to give you a haircut.
Right. It's crazy. It's still cuckoo the way that like cosmetology school works. It's different state by state, but most states It goes by hours you need to get your license. In most states, you get more training hour-wise to be a cosmetologist than you do to be a policeman or a pilot.
That's not good.
It's not great.
That's not good.
It certainly is the case in New Jersey.
That's really bad. and you know, I can't decide whether...
Or it was when I was in cosmetology school. And I think they've increased the hours needed to be a cosmetologist since I did it 17 years ago.
Wow.
Because it's moolah.
Do you think that the cosmetologists need that much schooling?
No,
Do you think
it felt excessive.
They need less. Do you think the police need more?
I don't know, but it felt a little excessive to me.
Yeah.
And it's even more now.
Remember the movie Armageddon, where it
Yeah.
was like, you can't teach astronauts about drilling. They don't know jack about drilling. You got to take guys who know how to drill and send them up into outer space.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah,
It should be like cops, because they don't have enough schooling. They should also learn how to cut hair.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? And that way, when like you see like a cop car that's just like parked on the side of the road,
Yeah.
you know, like they have to sit there for like 8 hours.
Right.
You should be able to bring your own like camping chair and have them cut your hair while they're just staring out their windows.
Why not? If you could go to a barber and they can perform bloodletting for you.
Exactly, Kristen. Exactly.
What's good for the goose?
I'm a gander.
Right?
Give it a
Okay.
look.
Good.
Doc, why do you think I don't get my hair cut anymore? I'm very skeptical of anybody with sharp scissors near my face. Anyway, so Sweeney Todd
Yes.
was published as a penny dreadful starting in 1846 under the original title, The String of Pearls, A Romance,
Oh, okay.
which I kind of love that this is a romance
Yeah.
story. And this is where I also had a lot of fun looking into Sweeney Todd, because I am almost exclusively used to Sweeney Todd, where like, you know, Sweeney Todd had been run out of London and now he's returning home and wants to get some form of revenge.
Yeah.
Like, I'm used to him as being like a sympathetic villain. Mm-hmm. But the original story, he was just a villain, which
yeah.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Like, here's what the original story was. And it's been heavily debated whether or not, like who is the credited author for this. It seems like in modern history, we generally accept that two people, James Malcolm Rymer and Thomas Peckett Prest, wrote these stories together over the course of 18 weeks. So here's the original synopsis of the story. Set in London in the year 1785, though they would be published, basically they're published in the mid-1800s being like, this happened
Yeah.
in 1785. The plot concerns the strange disappearance of a sailor named Lieutenant Thornhill, last seen entering Sweeney Todd's establishment on Fleet Street. Thornhill was bearing a gift of a string of pearls to a girl named Joanna on behalf of her missing lover, Mark Ingestry, who is presumed lost at sea. One of Thornhill's seafaring friends, Colonel Jeffrey, is alerted to the disappearance of Thornhill by his faithful dog Hector and investigates his whereabouts. Joanna joins him and starts to become suspicious of this guy, Sweeney Todd. And basically, what I'm telling you is that the story happens from the outside originally.
Yeah.
It's about characters being like, a guy went missing. Where could he be? Uh-huh. Well, here's this barber guy who's really weird and creepy, and he works in this really smelly barbershop.
Right.
And they discover that he's been killing people
Doing this.
discover that he's been working with Mrs. Lovett, who his barbershop is connected to her pie shop via underground tunnels. In the original story, his barbershop's not above her pie shop. So they uncover all the crime stuff.
Yeah.
Versus what
Is it actually that his place is smelly? Is that part of what?
I think so. Let's see.
It's fine if it's not. I was just curious if they're like, this place smells like bodies.
It smells like bodies in here, bro. Well, here's the thing. It's also, 1785 London.
Everything smells like bodies.
I assume almost everything smells like bodies.
Yeah.
Joanna's suspicions of Sweeney Todd's involvement cause her to dress as a boy and becomes Todd's employee. This was fun too. She is able to become his employee because he used to have a former apprentice or assistant
Award
named Tobias Ragg. But he's been incarcerated to a madhouse because he had been accusing Sweeney Todd of murder.
Oh, poor little Mr. Ragg.
I know, he was right.
Yeah.
He was right. Justice for Tobias Ragg.
Yeah.
So after Todd dismembers the corpses of his victim, Mrs. Lovett creates her meat pies from leftover flesh. While the bodies are burning in the oven, a ghastly and intolerable smell reeks from the pie shop chimney. So that's how it's all discovered. And then it's further discovered that Mark, the Joanna's boyfriend, he was my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend has been being kept prisoner in the basement, and he cooks the pies.
Oh, they've like enslaved him?
Yeah, essentially.
Man.
So he's set free, and it's when he rises up from the cellar that he makes the following startling announcement to the customers. Ladies and gentlemen, I fear that what I am going to say will spoil your appetites, but the truth is beautiful at all times. And I have to state that Mrs. Lovett's pies are made of human flesh.
That's awesome.
It was almost like the climactic moment to reveal that the pies were cannibal human meat pies.
Yeah.
But we now know today that, like, from the jump, I feel like if you have any awareness of Sweeney Todd, you leap right to, oh, he kills people and she cooks them into pies.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think you could
That's like
even,
the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't even think you could tell this story in this order.
Yeah.
You know? But it was, to my understanding at least, I did not live in the mid-1800s. I did not read the Penny Dreadfuls week to week.
Right.
I think that the story was doled out as a mystery week by week.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, which
awesome.
I like, yeah. Mrs. Lovett.
Probably a pretty shocking ending.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like Soylent Green.
Yeah.
Soylent Green is people. Mrs. Lovett is poisoned by Sweeney Todd, who is subsequently apprehended and hanged. Joanna and Mark get married. Happy ending. So it is a romance. The String of Pearls, a romance. The title makes a certain amount of sense.
Yeah.
So, let's
Kind of
see.
ironic.
Incredibly. Yes, very, very, very.
Having a bit of fun.
So now I'm going to leap way far ahead. We're going to jump to the 1970s.
Okay.
So Sweeney Todd.
Groovy.
For 100 years, there have been staged adaptations. Even while the stories were still being released, it seems like people were putting on like plays of the story.
That's cool. Wow, it really took off.
It really took off. And so it's not until... I feel this is what I knew, and so therefore I feel like probably most people had a similar experience. I knew that Stephen Sondheim, who is one of the most famous, playwrights and
composers
in modern times, I knew his Sweeney Todd play was a big deal.
Yeah,
and he had turned it into a musical. What I did not know, and I found surprising, is that in 1979. Stephen Sondheim opened Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, a musical thriller. But his 1979 play is based on a 1973 play by Christopher Bond, which is actually where the story I just told you was fully rewritten into the version of Sweeney Todd we know today.
Oh, okay.
This is the Christopher Bond version of the story. Sweeney Todd was once named Benjamin Barker, a barber convicted wrongfully, and after 15 years in an Australian penal colony, escapes and returns to London under the new name Sweeney Todd, only to find out that Judge Turpin, who was responsible for his conviction, stole and possibly killed his wife, adopted his daughter, and Sweeney Todd plans to kill Turpin, but when Turpin escapes, he swears vengeance on humanity in general and begins to slash his customers' throats. He goes into business with Mrs. Lovett, his former landlady, who bakes his victims' flesh into pies. At the end of the play, he finally gets his revenge by killing Judge Turpin and then unknowingly kills his own wife. Mrs. Lovett had misled him into believing that she was dead. And Sweeney Todd actually kills her himself. She's gone mad in those missing 15 years. After learning the truth, Sweeney Todd kills Mrs. Lovett, and then is in turn killed by Mrs. Lovett's assistant, Tobias Ragg, who slits Todd's throat with his own razor.
Yeah.
That was not the story until 1973.
Yeah.
It was all... Christopher Bond rewrote, remixed elements of the original Penny Dreadfuls that had been told for 100 years.
Yeah.
And gave it this weird, Sweeney Todd has a backstory and has a motive for wanting to come back and has a family that he's trying to get vengeance for, and then results in this great...
It's a great story.
Dramatic, tragic ending where everybody ends up dead.
Yeah.
And weird, again, for whatever reason, I think of Stephen Sondheim as just like creating, I don't know. Well,
I mean, I
whatever.
figured.
Yeah, Stephen Sondheim's version became so famous and is eventually what the Tim Burton movie is based on.
Right.
That I just sort of assumed like either that was the story from the jump or Stephen Sondheim's musical recreated things. But no, Stephen Sondheim had seen a play just a few years earlier.
Yeah.
And then come in and gone, I think it needs music. And it exploded.
Yeah.
And so that's how we get to Tim Burton. And this is where it becomes part of our own personal history.
It's true.
So the Tim Burton Sweeney Todd comes out around Christmas 2007. I'm 21. You're 24. Our brains have not fully developed yet.
That's true.
They say that your brain's not fully developed until you're 25, which is the only way that I can possibly imagine the following made sense. We liked to go to the movies around Christmas.
Yeah, like on Christmas.
Yeah. And did we both say this or did I say? I always blamed myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think we both were like, let's do this.
I'm happy to share this with you.
I have no memory of being like, no, you're nuts. I mean, I think I was into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We said to our mom, shout out mom, who's perhaps still watching live in the chat right now.
Our mom and dad.
We said to our mom and dad, hey, do you want to go see Sweeney Todd in theaters at Christmas? I think I'd already seen it.
Okay.
Which is also why perhaps I should have known better.
Are you sure you'd already seen it?
I'm pretty sure. It's a
There's
decent...
no way.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so, Will. If that was the case, I don't think you would have.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. That's, again, is why I'm like, my brain was...
I don't know.
Really underdeveloped.
I really don't think so.
It's like a third the size it should have been.
I would put money on you not having seen this.
All right. The Tim Burton version of Sweeney Todd is so gory.
Right. And our mom is not into that at all.
It is so unexpectedly brutal.
Yeah.
Because mom is watching, she says in the live chat right now, mom is watching. What's your around 2007 or like what would your vibe have been of Tim Burton around that time? I would have said that he's like almost largely family friendly scary.
I don't remember, like, was he still cool? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know when, I couldn't tell you when Sleepy Hollow came out, maybe 99?
Yeah, probably something like that. I don't think that the, like, Alice in Wonderland or Wonka decline had happened.
I don't think so.
So I think I still thought he was cool. And I don't know. I didn't think he was particularly family friendly, but I also, I don't know, I thought that would be, like, fine. I didn't know how violent it was going to be. I really didn't know much about Sweeney Todd. I also incorrectly thought that, so our parents both liked like show tunes and Broadway stuff.
Yes.
And we listened to a lot of it like in the car.
Yeah. Dad in particular seemed to really like Stephen Sondheim.
Yes.
And we grew up having, you went to go see Stephen Sondheim's Into the Woods in the city as a kid.
Yep. And I mistakenly thought that we had listened to the soundtrack to Sweeney Todd in the car a bunch, but what I was thinking of was The Mystery of Edwin Drood.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with that than I actually know about. I know the concept of Edwin Drood.
Same.
Yeah.
So I just had like, a mystery spooky thing. I think mom likes that. So like it'll be all good. But anyway, as we were saying, our mom does not like gory, violent stuff at all. And even the intro is super duper, like you're following like a river of blood, just like going through the London sewers. And I remember mom just like right away being like looking at us like, ew.
Within seconds. It was like, it was instantly like, it really makes the case within seconds that this movie is going to be soaked in blood.
Yeah.
And then it's so weird. Like, what a strange movie. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about it now?
I like it. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while. I did not rewatch it for this. I've seen it like a good amount of times. Because I like it, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I remember liking it, and I misremembered. I thought the world did not like it. I remember people dogging on like Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter singing.
Yeah, I mean they're not like, Broadway caliber or whatever,
sure.
But I think they're fine. I think she's good. I like her singing actually.
I like her quite a bit.
I think his is fine.
It's got an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh.
Yeah, I think it was pretty well received.
And according to The Guardian, I believe it was, it's been reappraised as one of the greatest movie musicals of the 21st century.
Okay.
So it's like
Well, think about it. What other movie musicals are out there?
I know.
Like maybe
Is it
they're
a small
kind of stinky.
bucket?
Yeah.
Right.
Like Mamma Mia. Yeah, of course. It's completely awesome. But it is people like with time,
Yeah.
a bunch of the cast of Mamma Mia have been like, I don't know why they cast me. I can't sing.
Yeah.
It was super fun. Like, what's his name? Stellan Skarsgård is like, well, he didn't say this. This is very like Gen Z talking. He was like, I understood the assignment. I was there to be like a boy toy for Meryl Streep.
Right.
And like, I can't sing, but it was super duper fun.
Yeah.
And like Pierce Brosnan said the same thing. So it's fun, but I don't know if that's like one of the great movie musicals.
Right.
And so I don't know how many others there are.
I definitely remember seeing the 2007 version and being like, Johnny Depp is doing like a rock, like a rock and roll voice.
Yeah, he's a little snarly and
Does he have a band? Is he one of these guys
yes,
that has a
it's
band?
oh god, what is it called? It's something vampires. It might be Hollywood vampires.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
Okay. It's not called like Turgid Spine or something. Like some. That's my.
Did you just come up with that?
I did. That's my band.
Turgid Spine.
I wish we could have a master cut of all the times that we've like come up with a stage name or a band
You're
name.
way better at it than I am. It would be a master cut of you. It's always me saying something that sucks.
I disagree, but his version. I like him.
Turgid Spine.
I like Johnny Depp as a performer, as a human being. It sure seems like there's a lot to. I have some notes, as they say.
Yeah.
But I like his performance, and I like that he looks like a gross, dumb ghoul.
Yeah, no, he looks sweet.
He looks like Christopher Walken in Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about Sleepy Hollow watching Sweeney Todd because it
So good.
it feels like it's roughly that same like pre-modern history, world.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I feel like Tim Burton is really good at
Yeah.
like it's a good movie. I
It is
really
a good
enjoy
movie.
it.
Sleepy Hollow is a great movie.
Sleepy Hollow is like
Oof.
almost perfect.
I know.
I love that movie so much.
Yep.
But this movie I really, really like as well. I guess I just didn't think that it was so positively considered. I was a little shocked by just like how it was almost unanimous.
Yeah, I think that I'm not surprised that it's at like an 86. I feel like everybody's like, yeah, it's a B. I don't
Yeah,
think that
right.
people are like, oh God, it's amazing. But I
True.
think most people are probably like, yeah, it was
It's
good.
solid, yeah.
Mhm.
So in order to make the movie, they had to greatly cut out the amount of songs from
Yeah.
the play, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And even the singing stuff. So I can't stop singing it now.
Catchy.
But I like the grungy Johnny Depp portrayal, and I couldn't stop thinking about like, do you remember in what is it called? What is the follow up to Shaun of the Dead? Hot Fuzz.
Oh yeah.
In Hot Fuzz, there are
I love Hot
characters.
Fuzz.
There are characters who are like, "We're putting on an adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. I hope you come see it." And it turns out that they are doing an adaptation of the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet, where it's like the guy who's playing Romeo has armor with wings on it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about, or whatever.
Of course.
It's like, love me, say that you love me.
Yeah.
It's like taking the hardcore movie and readapting it as a play is so funny to me.
Yeah, it is really funny.
And I just want to see not genuinely. I want to look at somebody who does a stage adaptation of the movie Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
And somebody has to be like, I want you bleeders. No one's in the chair.
Someone's done it, maybe.
Yeah.
I felt less conviction as I was finishing that sentence. Maybe someone's done it.
What was the line we kept saying before we started
Just
recording?
now?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy
what
how
was that?
your memory gets erased when you're recording?
Oh, hang on. Oh, I'm so close. The follow-up is I will have you. What's right before
I
that?
will have you.
What's right before that?
I have no idea. I have zero idea. We were singing this repeatedly before we started recording, but once you start doing a
don't
show,
know.
your memory gets erased.
And then right after it gets erased as well.
That's true.
I don't know. Hey, it's Kristen. I'm recording this on my phone, so it probably sounds like shit. I apologize. But Will realized that we were recording as we were getting ready to record the podcast. So we recorded ourselves singing this stupid song. So we actually know what it is, and here it is.
I will have salvation. I will have you.
I will have you.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
Anyway, back to the show.
But so, yeah, I'm a fan of the movie. I do have a few things to call out. One, to get back to the mom story. Not only is the movie gory, it's like disgusting.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
Yeah.
Around this time, it would only have been a few years earlier that Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill came out, which had blood spatter that was inspired, I think, by anime. So, like, if Uma Thurman had her katana and slice someone's throat, it would, gosh, the blood would spray out.
Yeah, like crazy.
Like a hose. Like when you put your thumb over the top of a hose and like sprays out in every direction.
Right.
That's what happens in Sweeney Todd for some reason.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
it's nuts.
It doesn't make an ounce of sense to me.
No, I mean, I think I don't know why.
It's so weird. It was
just to be bloody.
It was just like, well, in movie language now, Kill Bill did this, so this
Right.
is what blood does.
Right.
It gushes out from wherever your neck's been cut, it gushes out from all over.
Right. So
sprays out.
for it to be what mom is seeing.
On Christmas.
Although I will say,
Merry Christmas, Mom.
Mom watched one of the gnarliest shows like ever.
Yeah.
And kept watching it handily. She watched Boardwalk Empire.
Oh.
And there's a season of Boardwalk Empire with Bobby Cannavale that is so incredibly violent. And there is a scene where, I don't even remember the context really. Like, he kills a bunch of people. It's super bloody. And then he like walks through the scene butt ass naked, covered in all their blood, like brutal. And Mom loved Boardwalk Empire.
Wow. All right.
But
Maybe she didn't watch it on Christmas.
I mean, that is certainly true.
I think there's something about
They're
trudging through the snow, hand in hand with your kids, going into the movie theater. 4 tickets to Sweeney Todd,
No,
please.
it's certainly true. But I just want to say, while we're like, oh, Mom hates the violence, can't handle it. Mom is also like, she can handle some stuff.
And then you have to watch Timothy Spall get dumped down like a garbage
disgusting.
chute, and his head explodes on impact with the stone floor.
Mom in the chat just also made a good point. She said, Angela Lansbury, that's all I'm saying. She has also said since that when we suggested Sweeney Todd, what she had in her head was that in the stage show, it was Angela Lansbury in it. And she thought to herself, oh, Angela Lansbury's in Sweeney Todd. Like, I know what that is. Like, it's kind of
I think the stage
kooky.
play, I think there's a lot of comedy in Sweeney
it's a little
Todd.
bit kookier.
Historically, it's very kooky.
Yeah.
The Tim Burton version is humorless.
It removes the kook.
There's no kookiness. It is all grisly murder. And I think that there's something to Sweeney Todd. Funnily enough, I think Sweeney Todd is the Sophisticate's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You could be right.
I think I'm 100% right. Not only is it like you're killing people and then making food out of them, it's like Cannibal Food Town.
Yeah.
But it's also like there were all
and it's in a flaky pastry.
a flaky pastry,
Ooh.
a flaky crust.
Yeah.
Yes.
How sophisticated. You have to eat it with a knife and fork.
Yes, exactly.
Pinkies up.
It's you know what it is? It's the missing link between Texas Chainsaw and Hannibal Lecter. Where like you really get to like Oscar winning.
Yeah.
And then like populist is Sweeney Todd, where I think almost everybody can find something to enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's both highbrow and lowbrow simultaneously.
Yeah.
And then Texas Chainsaw is just lowbrow.
Yeah, I can see that.
Right. But so also there have been these rumors since the start of this story. Like I said, that it was based on something that really existed. There is no Sweeney Todd, no historical Sweeney Todd, but there have been, it seems, people being like, well, yeah, back in France, this crazy barber was killing people. And then it's like, and this crazy pastry lady was cooking people. And then you just combine those two stories. And that's what Texas Chainsaw did. Texas Chainsaw opens with like, in 1974, these events really occurred.
Yeah.
In Texas. Like they purport that this really was true.
And I'm really John Larroquette.
And hello, ladies, it's me, John. Just ladies, not gentlemen.
Because John Larroquette is for the ladies.
Just hello, ladies. I'm John Larroquette. Welcome to the Texas
Because they know
Chainsaw
what the ladies want, and it's John Larroquette.
John Larroquette. But so, like the pretending to be based on a real story thing. It's funny to me that Sweeney Todd does this too. It's almost like finding out that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Wait, what do you mean Sweeney Todd does it too? Did they say it was based on a real story?
No, but they treat it like a historical thing sometimes. And I'm just saying like the word of mouthy stuff in the 1800s being like, this is based on a real thing that occurred.
Yeah.
You know? But I almost feel like what's been fun about researching Sweeney Todd is it was almost like as if I found out that Leatherface is based on a figure from, Victorian London.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun.
Yeah,
to be like, there's so much history to this.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't know, but I've never looked into it.
I didn't, honestly.
So in the movie, the last bit of the thing that I think pushed it over the top of the gore for Mom, the time that I like noticed her wince the most is Timothy Spall. So Johnny Depp in the modern blah, blah, blah. The modern Sweeney Todd adaptations, they moved his barbershop above the pie shop.
Yeah.
Which is just like a matter of efficiency.
Absolutely.
He's able to kill his victims and then has a trapdoor to dump their bodies. In the original story, he did not slice their throats. He just dumped the bodies.
Oh.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
They break their necks on impact.
Oh, okay. Okay,
right?
that does make sense.
And then if they live, he goes down and polishes them off.
Right.
Which, P.S., I think polish...
That seems harder.
I'm pretty sure polish off originated in Sweeney Todd. The phrase. I'm pretty sure.
Why?
I read... that was like a glancing blow as I was researching things. Somebody was like, and this was when Sweeney Todd got his famous phrase, I'll polish him off.
Oh,
which
interesting.
Implied to me that it might be the origin of the phrase. But so Timothy Spall in the movie gets dumped.
Yeah.
And occasionally they would show this, but not always.
Yeah, no,
they show the Timothy Spall puppet. Like
the dumping is pretty rough in this movie. Yeah.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah.
He gets dumped and it's like his head almost gets like turtled into his body for the briefest of moments on impact. And I'm pretty sure the top of his head pops open.
Oh God.
It's like the hardest, most brutal skull on stone floor impact imaginable.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at Mom, who I think had just like receded into her own mind. It was just trying to be anywhere else.
Her head receded into her body.
Yes,
yeah.
it was brutal, and it was clear because at a certain point it stopped being a movie that I was watching and started being a countdown to when the credits roll, and we all have to talk about what we just did.
Definitely.
That was my primary concern for like the second half of the movie was at some point the movie's going to stop and we're all going to have to look at each other.
I for sure was not really immersed in the movie. It was like I was trying to look at the screen, but I'm really just looking at Mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it was scary. That was the scariest part of the movie was what's Mom going to say to me. All right, glancing blow things. Because again, I think the story of Sweeney Todd itself is weirdly, it's fun to watch the movie, but to discuss it, it's really like, it's like a 2-sentence horror story or something.
Right.
Like guy kills people, lady puts in pie, justice is served at the end. But so I've got some glancing blow things. One, we already discussed Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter. What I want to say about them is, and it's a crackpot theory that I've got here. This movie would have come out 14 years after The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I wonder if there's a generational thing of like kids who grew up became young adults for this movie. Like as a young child, you saw Jack and Sally.
Yeah.
And now that you're a little older, the new Jack and Sally for you is more mature.
Yeah.
And you can handle it. And it's this couple who are insane and have the same insane plan of murder and stuff, but seem to love each other.
Yeah.
It was like,
well, he doesn't seem to love her.
No, certainly not by the end. That's great though.
He never seems to love her. He's like,
really?
To me, no. She's very much a convenience.
She's crazy.
Yes, she is.
They're both crazy.
Yes.
But there's something about her realizing like, wait a minute. I could cook this guy and put him in a pie. The whole scene, I think Stephen Sondheim said something about the original, the play that he adapted, where he was like, it was like said in 3 sentences, like we could cook them. And they just moved on. He was like, that's got to be bigger. Like, let's turn that into like a real discovery process of like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This could solve my problem of Victorian London not having access to meat and stuff.
Right.
Like, I actually found that all to be relatively viable. These two people who are sort of amping each other up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But no, I think it was just a convenience for him. Like, all right, this lady's way into me. All right, this works.
Yeah. Alan Rickman is wonderful.
He's great.
I love Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
In this movie, in anything.
I know.
He's outstanding, and it's so weird to hear him sing.
I know. Yeah.
But again, I feel like everybody actually does really, really well. I've less to say about the movie and more really just like one fun fact to say about Sweeney Todd in general. Do you have anything left about the movie that you just want to say?
No.
I think generally, I think the movie speaks for itself. Sweeney Todd is more now to me like this big historic story.
Yeah.
That's been readapted a million different ways. Like it did make me wonder, like 100 years from now, is there going to be some further, new iteration or complication of the story? Like him being Benjamin Barker and having this revenge story didn't exist for 100 years.
Right.
After the story was first written. Who's to say what the future could be?
Yeah, totally.
For anything, not just Sweeney Todd.
I know.
So, just like there have been a million stage adaptations since the mid-1800s, there have been a ton of movies, including a movie from 1926, which is considered lost media. You can't find anything. No frames of this movie seem to exist anymore, which some part of me really loves. There was a 1928 silent film that I thought was really neat, and it opens, because it's a silent film, it has those cards with words, and it opens with this text: "Ever had a nightmare? Hobgoblins dancing on your chest and tailed 3-horned demons tearing out your eyes with red-hot pincers?" I was like, whoa. Why?
Why are we talking about this?
I didn't know we went so hard in 1928.
Yeah, seriously.
I thought this was like an era of like, tamp it down.
Yeah.
Be appropriate.
Apparently not.
Tearing out your eyes with red hot pincers.
Good Lord.
That's all to set up, like, there are other people who have gone mad,
Yeah.
And then in 1936, last thing, there was an adaptation of Sweeney Todd in a movie. The guy who played Sweeney Todd was named Ted Slaughter.
That's awesome.
Just the coolest name I've ever heard. Ted, give or take. Slaughter as a last name is pretty awesome.
I wonder if he was cast just for that.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I know. Ted Slaughter, Sweeney Todd.
Well, thank you, Will.
So that's the story.
Yes. And I am going to tell you about some places this story has popped up pop culturally.
Yes.
Right after we make sure that you know about patreon.com/GTTUpod. This is where you can go to help support the show, which means a ton to us, which directly impacts our lives, and we are very grateful for. So thank you so much to everybody who has already joined us over on Patreon. And we also have a bunch of bonuses that we say thank you with. So we have a whole second podcast called The Netherworld Dispatch that comes out every single week. And if you're part of our demon tier, then you get those episodes every Monday, which fully rules. So that means you start the week with us and you end the week with us. We also have other tiers that you can check out and see if those work for you, where you can get episodes every 2 weeks or once a month. And we even have a $1 tier if you would just like to join our Discord. And we also have all these movie commentaries over there, other extras, all kinds of crap. So go check out patreon.com/GTTUpod.
Our most recent episode of the Netherworld Dispatch is 157, titled Mystic Chrissy Returns.
That's right. I went to a holistic expo, and my friend Sarah and I got aura photographs done, and they sent us like a 23-page report of what our auras said about us. So Will and I go through that report and talk about it, and it's really, really cool.
It was fascinating to see, and fascinating to see literal aura photography of Kristen and try to figure out what it says about her.
Yes.
Who's to say? Who's to say? I'm still perhaps a little perplexed, but go check that out. Patreon.com/GTTUpod. And I've got a nice review for us here from Jess Than Zero, titled Delightful. As a lover of all things spooky and sinister, I listen to a lot of heavy stuff, but I don't want to listen to bummer stuff all the time. Enter Kristen and Will. They cover a variety of spooky and spooky adjacent topics in a lighthearted and earnest way that is such a breath of fresh air. Their sense of humor is infectious and so fun. 5 stars.
Thank you so much. That's from Jess.
Yeah, that's from Jess.
Thank you so much, Jess. That is so nice.
Thank you. So we're going to be back with more Sweeney Todd. But we got to keep the lights on, everybody. Mm-hmm. How about a little commercial break?
Okay. So there is an episode of The Office.
Yeah.
That is revolving around Andy being in a performance of Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is not based on the movie, as you were just saying.
That would have been a great opportunity.
I was just, as you were saying that, I was like, it seems like that would be perfect for The Office. But no, it's just kind of like the stage play.
For Andy in particular.
Yeah, definitely.
To be annoyingly... Mm-hmm. I wonder if somebody would have been like, it'd be like, that would just be the Hot Fuzz joke.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
Not impossible, but I would have loved to have seen it.
Yeah, that's totally true. Andy is playing, like, I can't remember what the guy's name is. They never say it, but, the guy who's always, like, singing to Joanna.
Oh, he's the sailor.
Yeah,
whatever his name is.
Yes, and he's wearing, like, a little...
I skipped over all of that, because even in the movie, when the sailor shows up, I'm like...
I know, snooze.
I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a little sailor guy who loves a lady named Joanna.
A little sailor man.
Well, Andy is dressed like a little sailor man.
He is.
He is dressed like Buster in Mother Boy.
Yeah, you're right.
So the episode really jumps immediately into the Sweeney Todd stuff, where the show opens and Andy walks in, puts a boombox on Aaron's desk, because this is later Office. It's season 7, episode 3, where Aaron is the receptionist now. Pam and Jim are married. They have a baby. It's like that whole deal. So he comes in, puts down a boombox, and starts singing. He and some other guy in costume start singing, like, "Attend the Tale of Sweeney Todd." And they're like being weird, stalking around. And then more and more of the cast come in and start just like stalking around the office, singing the song, holding razors and stuff. Dwight stands and readies himself with a dagger at his hip, which is awesome. And when it's all over, Aaron says, like, "That was great. Did you write that?" to Andy.
That's a great joke.
And Andy says that they are all from the Loose Screw Playhouse and they are doing viral marketing for their upcoming Sweeney Todd performance. Michael loves that they did this because it's like flash mob.
Michael's still there.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
He features quite prominently. He loves that they did this because he loves kind of a flash mob situation. But then he's quickly upset because he says, like, "Oh, I auditioned for this. When do they put up the cast list?" And Andy's like, "Oh, they already cast it," or whatever. That Michael's pissed because he auditioned for Sweeney Todd and he never heard. And Andy tells him, like, not to feel so bad because nobody got that part who auditioned, and they had to call in a ringer because just like nobody was good enough for it or something. Okay. So Michael's like a little bit appeased. So trying to be the bigger man, Michael brings balloons to the play that night because he says that they are bigger than flowers, and he's showing that he is being the bigger man by bringing balloons.
Yeah.
He runs into the the director, who he had auditioned with in the lobby, who's like, "Oh, Michael, it's good to see you." And he's being nice. And he's like, "Hey, keep auditioning because we're going to find a part for you or something." He's being perfectly nice, but Michael's just a little bit like, and salty. And he says, like, "Oh, I hope you enjoy the play. Like, grab a drink." And Michael grabs a whole bottle of wine and then goes back to his seat.
Okay.
So they're watching the play. It's like, it's good. Like, they're all kind of pleasantly surprised. Like, Andy's singing and he's singing well. And so it's a lot of shots of the people who work in the office kind of looking at each other like, this is pretty good. Then during intermission, they cut to Creed, who is in the lobby looking at like a little flip pad of paper and reading off of it into the phone, saying, "Unfortunately, in this ham-fisted production of Sweeney Todd, the real terror comes from the performances." New paragraph. So is Creed a theater critic?
He's a secret theater critic. Or is he so insane that he like adapts to whatever situation he's in?
It's hard to say.
Forms a new personality on the fly.
This guy's a mystery.
Yes.
I liked the little, it's what The Office does, but I haven't watched The Office in a while. And I was like, this is good. I haven't seen this in a long time. Just
It's
like
enjoyable.
Little flashes of people's personalities that you see. Like Phyllis is in the audience with Bob Vance, and she's wearing like a fur stole because it's like her night out with Bob,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And Kelly and what's this guy's name?
Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan are in the audience, and she asks Ryan what time it is, and he has an iPad with him with like like a picture of a clock on it, and he shows her that to show her the time. It's just like, what is this guy? And like,
He's techie because he's cool.
Yeah,
he's
right.
a hipster.
Right. It's great. So Andy is like bummed because he's Erin's his ex at this point, and he still has a crush on her, and he was excited that she was going to come to the play, and he was pumped because her boyfriend Gabe wasn't going to be able to come, and he was like, oh yes, like she can see me doing well, whatever. And then he had been disappointed that Jim and Pam weren't going to be able to come because they couldn't get a babysitter. And he was surprised to see Jim and Pam in the audience. And they told him at some point, maybe during intermission or whatever, like, oh, we were able to come because Erin said that she could babysit for Cece, the baby. And then Andy's like, oh, damn. Like,
Yeah, she's not going to be there.
She can't be there. So they're showing him backstage, and he's like, he keeps checking his phone. He's like, I'm just checking my phone for like last minute, like break a leg text or whatever. And he keeps checking, and he brings it on stage with him in his little sailor pocket, and he forgot to take it off ringer. And it goes off, and he tries to like improv his way out of it going off, and it's like not going well. And so like everything's like starting to like fall apart. It's not good.
I think I remember this. Isn't somebody in the audience, I think their phone goes off first, and the guy who plays Sweeney Todd goes, I think I hear a bird. And so
Well,
people kind of chuckle. And then when Andy's phone goes off, he's like, me thinks I hear the same bird you do. And it's like not funny anymore.
He thinks it's somebody in the audience's phone. It's Andy's.
Oh, it's all Andy's.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Andy says the same thing. And then he realizes that it's his. And then he's like, I don't even know what he says. He said he's trying to get out of it. And he's like, I don't know. I'm not crazy. I'm not a killer like you. And then he's like, but I wouldn't know that you're a killer at this point in the play. So don't listen to me, ignore me, or like whatever.
He's trying to stay in character.
Yeah.
And failing to do it.
It's not going very well. So it's just starting to go sideways. And then Michael drops the bottle of wine that he had. So it's rolling and clattering loudly down the not the aisle, just like through the
seats.
And as he bends over to try to get it, he releases the balloons that he has been holding like between his knees during the production, which float up to the hot lights and start popping loudly, which then causes a baby to cry. And Pam is like, that sounds like Cece. And they turn around, and Erin is all the way back in the theater holding Cece. And she's like, ugh, because she had snuck out with the baby because she wanted to see Andy so badly at the play. And Jim and Pam were like, what the hell?
You brought the baby to Sweeney Todd?
Yeah. And she's like, well, I didn't think that you would see us. I was going to bring Cece out for ice cream. And then I just thought I'd stop by real quick. And they were like, okay, you don't give a baby ice cream. And also, like, we set you up with the car seat in case she had to go to the hospital or something. And and Erin's like, why would I bring the baby to the hospital? And they're just like, okay, we're just gonna go home or whatever. And the Sweeney Todd portion of things ends with Michael booing the guy playing Sweeney Todd because he's jealous, and Dwight saying that all the singing got in the way of some perfectly good murders.
Okay.
So, all right.
Well, then perhaps Dwight would enjoy the Christopher Brown
It sounds like he would. Yeah, just a straightforward play.
iteration. Yes.
Yeah, without the musical aspects.
Yeah.
Something else that came out pretty recently was The Horrors of Dolores Roach. Have you heard of this at all?
I have. Was this a podcast?
Mm-hmm. It was a podcast, and then it became a TV show on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So it was an audio drama that came out in 2018 that was based on a play called Empanada Loco, both being written by Aaron Mark. Guess what was in those Loco Empanadas?
I came across Empanada Loca.
Really?
Yeah, when I was doing my research. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just knew it meant like crazy pie, right? Basically.
if empanada means pie, then
Crazy
yes.
pastry. Right?
Yeah. I don't know what empanada means. I just know that I love empanadas.
I'm just like, an empanada is a pastry.
Yes. Yeah. And then it was made into a show on Amazon Prime. So the premise is that Dolores Roach is a woman who was put in jail for weed possession for 16 years and then comes out to find that her old neighborhood, Washington Heights in New York, unrecognizable, totally gentrified, and she just feels angry and just like totally done wrong. She's put in jail for way too long for a totally bogus crime that's at the time basically on the brink of being legal. Now it is legal. And it's like looked the other way on at the time, 2018. And now all the family-run bakeries and diners that were in her city are replaced by T-Mobiles and a Planet Fitness, which she finds especially egregious. And she's relieved to see that Empanada Loca is still standing, at least, run by an old friend named Luis. Still standing, at least, run by Luis. I wrote that weird. So she had learned to be a massage therapist in prison, and she starts using the basement of Empanada Loca as a studio so she can make some money. And then she has an encounter with the sleazy landlord of the building that leads to her kind of accidentally, but maybe not killing him. I just realized in the podcast version that is played by Bobby Cannavale, who I mentioned in because he was in Boardwalk Empire.
He was
gross.
nude.
He was nude,
covered in blood.
That's right.
Yeah.
And in the TV show, it is Mark Maron.
I think he was nude in the podcast too. Just no one knows that.
Exactly. Yeah. You can
tell. I can tell.
Yeah. Exactly.
You can hear when someone's naked.
There's something in the voice.
Yeah.
And to get rid of the body and cover up the crime, her old friend chops it up and bakes it into empanadas. More killings happen. The new people in their city love the new special ingredient in the empanadas, and an investigator starts to close in on them. What's going to happen?
Okay.
So that's the basic premise. Sure. Mm-hmm. I decided to just like not go into it
it's
further
so modern.
In case people want to listen to that or watch the show because it's kind of recent.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I'm sure that maybe
Sweeney Todd's like old.
Totally.
People know the concept already.
Definitely.
I didn't know
I'm sure
that.
this spins out in other directions or something that are
right.
I
did not know that Dolores Roach was a modern Sweeney Todd.
I only knew because I saw the trailer for. I didn't know the podcast was like I'd seen the podcast art and everything, but I never listened to it. And I think I'd seen the trailer for the TV show, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that's what that was.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It is interesting. So there's a little bit about like the Sweeney Todd parallel from the writer in Time magazine. And so there's a quote from them. Well, this is a quote from Time magazine, then they have a quote. So Time magazine said, "The show's creators want viewers to take their own interpretations from the tale. Each version of the Sweeney Todd story is its own freestanding Rorschach test, they say, and Dolores Roach is ambiguous about its protagonist's morality. Quote, people see different things in this, Mark says. That extends to the kills themselves. To what degree are the kills justified? Do some kills feel justified and some kills don't feel justified? To what degree do we forgive Dolores? To what degree do we identify with her behavior? I would love to encourage not needing to come to a conclusion, Ruben Vega adds. Oh crap, I didn't include their first name. Ruben Vega is the last name of the woman who was in the play.
Oh, okay.
Of Empanada Loca. I think it was Daniela, if I remember correctly. Because at least, and then she executive produced the podcast and the show, I believe. So anyway, I'll start over. I would love to encourage not needing to come to a conclusion, Ruben Vega adds. Because at least for me, when there's a show that I love, when I see it again and again, after time, it lands differently because I've changed, and that's huge. That's the reciprocity of art. And I thought that was cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really, really like that. Mm-hmm. Especially like the idea of not needing to come down one way or the other.
Yeah.
And be like, this character is good or bad or... It's more interesting to be like super complicated.
Yeah, totally.
And also the thing about like how there are a million iterations of Sweeney Todd. Mm-hmm. Like that was what I was interested to like look back and find out is like that the story has kept changing.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a lot.
Yeah, I had no idea.
There's been a lot in like entertainment news lately about like, is it Halloween? Yeah, Halloween is going to be a TV series now, but they're calling it a reimagining.
Yeah.
It's like they keep struggling to come up with.
And it's called Haddonfield.
Is it called Haddonfield?
Wait, I thought it was. I think it is.
Because I had joked about that recently.
I know. Wait, I thought that it was, and I thought that we were like, oh, that's so funny because you had joked about that.
I don't remember now, but it's perfectly plausible for it to be
I'm
called
not sure.
Haddonfield. But so like, now studios are referring to things as reimaginings.
Yeah.
Instead of saying reboot or remake, because those words have gotten weird connotations over the years. And,
It's so transparent, though. It's so stupid. I feel like you should just call it a
do it.
reboot still.
I totally agree.
Because we know what reimagining means. Like,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the fact that
It's
we can see
dorkier
through your buzzword
to come up with a new word.
It makes it more annoying. I agree.
Yeah.
But even just recently, Blair Witch.
Yeah.
It's been announced that I even said in episode 333, I was like, something's coming. I knew something was on the horizon because of being in groups of Blair Witch stuff. And they just announced that they're going to make another Blair Witch. And it's going to be a reimagining.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. It's like you're just going to do a new version of the same and it's like it's obnoxious a little bit, but then again, we have been doing this since the beginning of entertainment, just telling new versions of the same thing forever. Like, nobody complained about the Tim Burton movie being an obnoxious reboot of the 1936 movie starring Ted Slaughter.
I know. I wonder if there's a difference, like, in how long it's been since the thing that you're rebooting. You know what I mean? Maybe the fact that I don't know, like, not even like the Ted Slaughter thing, but the fact that it was let's say a remake of, or a film version of the musical. You know
People
what I mean?
definitely
Like,
get protective where they're like, the play is better. The movie's just like saying the book is better.
Like,
the movie's
cross genre is kind of like a little bit different than just remaking a movie that came out 25 years ago. Like, the people who worked on that are still around and still in the industry or whatever. There's like there, especially with Blair Witch, you can give it a Goog. There's a lot of the original cast is not happy about it.
Oh no, it's been fascinating to see.
Yes.
Actually, Joshua Leonard and Heather Donahue in particular, who now goes under Ray Hance on social media, have come out and been like, our faces are on the press release.
Yeah.
That they're going to do another Blair Witch. That's how we found out about it. We are not involved. We are not compensated for them using our images. They told us that our names were copyrighted under their use, and we had to sue for our names back. Like, the cast of Blair Witch, since this is, by the way, in the last 2 weeks, since
Let's let people give it a Goog.
I know. I'm sorry. But I think it's relevant in the sense that what's the harm in just telling the same story a million different ways if there's a new interpretation? I think what gets tiresome today is what Joshua Leonard and Ray Hance are talking about, where it's like, it's a studio making a very cynical business decision without considering the human element and properly compensating people.
Totally.
Other than that, though, just tell the same stories. That's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see the next, Jason Voorhees Friday the 13th thing. I'm not precious about the lineage.
Yeah.
I just want to see somebody bring a new perspective. Like, in a weird way, the creator needs to come before the property, though. It's like...
Yeah.
Like...
because there are people involved. You know what I mean?
The horror of
real-life
Dolores
people.
Roach, like everything you just described, came from a particular point of view that made the horror of Dolores Roach stand under its own spotlight.
Right. And it seems like the original creators have been involved in every iteration of it. Like, it was a play, then it became a podcast with the same writers and creators. It became a TV show with the same writers and creators.
Yes.
From my understanding.
I think that's the important missing element in modern Hollywood rebooting and reimagining stuff, is that it does feel like that's what makes it come off as greedy, where it's like, well, we're not saying who's involved, because really, as a studio, we don't necessarily care or know who's involved right now. Yeah. But we're pumped about making more money off this property. And that's why I think it comes off weird, even though I think storytelling should constantly change and there should be 1,000 iterations. Looking at the movies of Sweeney Todd, there was a 1926, a 1928, a 1936, a 1940, whatever. It's just like every few years, somebody had a thing they wanted to do.
Yeah, if you can find ways to keep it interesting in any way, because it's also very subjective.
Yes.
Like, it can be interesting to one person, not to another. But if it's interesting to someone, then that rules. Go for it.
Yeah.
So there was another, it's just like a little teeny thing where Sweeney Todd popped up in a movie, a much maligned movie called Jersey Girl.
Yeah.
But it's a very sweet little part. It's a movie with Ben Affleck. It's a Kevin Smith movie where Ben Affleck is a workaholic guy who's really struggling with work-life balance as well as grief, and his moment of redemption comes when he ditches work to make his daughter's talent show, where they perform the song God That's Good from Sweeney Todd, which is all bloody and messed up when everybody else is doing songs from Cats and stuff like that. So his daughter doesn't think he's going to make it, and he just kind of like pops up, like dressed like Sweeney Todd, and she's like, ah. And then they do the song. He pretends to slit George Carlin's throat.
Yeah.
And it's like just kind of like taking a knife and like the knife itself like drags a line of red sort of across actually like the little bib sort of thing that George Carlin is wearing. And then he sends his dead body down a chute to his little daughter who's playing Mrs. Lovett. And it is a moment of triumphant joy for them and of horror for the audience watching, because it's parents of like, it looks like fourth graders or something. And they're all just like, oh,
Yeah.
what the hell?
This was the first
it's like
time,
a variety show.
Jersey Girl's the first time I ever saw anything Sweeney Todd. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And then in Jersey Girl, I saw that and I was like, it kind of made me curious, like, what is Sweeney Todd?
Yeah.
I felt like it was
Yeah, like,
just a
what's
few
this?
years later that the movie came out.
Yeah.
Which was very weird.
Yeah.
And Tim Burton also famously hates Kevin Smith.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 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 What do you think of Jersey Girl? You ever see it?
I've seen it once and I did not like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as people say. It was
I barely remember. I just remember watching. I was like, oh, I can see why people say this sucks.
It was part of the dark Benifer times of the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
And it was caught in the Geely, the Geely fires. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not great. And the last thing that I want to finish with, which I know you had some thoughts about as well, is the Joker connection.
Yeah, I'm pleased that you saw.
folie à deux.
I'm pleased that you saw this as well.
Yes. So the very first promotional image for Joker, folie à deux, was Joaquin Phoenix getting a shave, which led to some comparisons between that movie, that upcoming movie, the sequel to Joker, and Sweeney Todd.
Really?
What?
Oh,
What?
I didn't even think of that.
What do you...
He's literally shaved in the first image they released?
Apparently.
Wow. Did you make that connection? Have people made that connection, or
No,
you
people
making
made
that
it.
connection?
No,
people made the
it.
connection between Joker and Sweeney Todd from that image?
Yeah, like CBR.com or whatever.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Why? What are you thinking?
Well, because all I know is that the new Joker movie is Joker and Harley Quinn, and Lady Gaga is Harley Quinn, and it's going to be a musical.
Yeah.
It's going to what they call a jukebox musical. So, they're going to sing Gangsta's Paradise or something.
I heard it's mostly Broadway songs.
Okay. So they're going to have Broadway numbers while Joker and Harley Quinn sing, and then it'll smash cut to real life where
Right.
he is laughing and crying in the rain.
Laugh screaming out in the yard.
Christ. It looks like it's now the next, like, all right, you had Jack and Sally.
Yeah.
And now you have Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney Todd. Now you got Joker and Harley Quinn.
I think that was in...
Dark Love.
I think you have a good thought about it being like Jack and Sally and then Sweeney Todd and Mrs. Lovett. However, I don't think that's actually what the pop culture followed. I think it's Jack and Sally, Corpse Bride, and whoever the Corpse Bride's boyfriend is. And then whatever.
Which was Helena Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp.
Right. But like, I don't think people were really dressing up as Sweeney Todd and Mrs. Lovett, but people were into like Corpse Bride and like Corpse Bride Groom.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I do think you're right about that. My only point about
But it makes total
Sweeney
sense.
Todd and Mrs. Lovett as just being like the adult. Right? Like it's a little more not for kids.
Totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that the public gripped onto it as
No,
they're
I
like
don't think
Jack
so.
and Sally.
I agree. But so Joker and Harley Quinn, I'm very concerned about how much I'm going to be seeing videos.
You're going to be seeing a lot.
And images of this. I have a lot of concerns about how much I'm going to be exposed to it.
You're going to be exposed to them a lot. I think you should probably mute those words on Twitter.
I think I'd better. When I saw the image they put out of Joaquin Phoenix crying and laughing in the rain, they were like, they put on Twitter, they were like,
it was like tonight.
full trailer tonight. And then they attached a 1 minute long video of Joaquin Phoenix wearing dirty gray sweats and a sweatshirt, laughing and crying in the rain. I was like, you think I want more of this?
Oh, I can't wait for tonight.
Oh boy, what's going to happen tonight? Is he gonna get hurt? Like fall down the stairs? It's like, Jesus Christ, I don't want this.
I know.
I never want to see this.
No.
Did you see Joker?
No. No, I don't want that.
I think you should see it.
No way.
I want to hear what you think.
No
More
way.
than
Jose.
anyone else on the planet Earth, I want to hear what you think.
Not in a million years. No, thank you. No, thank you. I would like to see a supercut of Lady Gaga in Joker Folie à Deux.
No.
But I will not be seeing.
I like Lady Gaga, and I don't give
I love Lady
two
Gaga.
shits
Yeah.
about this goddamn thing. Seeing them do that kick on the stairs, it's like, come on, man. I know, he kicked on the stairs, and now she's going to kick on the stairs. I'm just like, I don't care.
I just want to see her.
I know that people love it, and I'm sorry. I'm not really sorry.
I loved all the her parts of the trailer. I find her endlessly compelling.
I'm going to see it.
You are.
I know
Ryan
it.
saw Joker and left.
I know. Outstanding.
I was talking about it the other day because I showed him the trailer for Joker Folie à Deux, and he was like, looks like it could be kind of cool. And he was like, he was trying to remember if he saw Joker, and I was like, I know you saw it and you left early. And he was like, yeah, I kind of remember that. And he was thinking that he didn't leave because he like hated it, but he was just like, this is enough.
Yeah.
Just left.
I don't know what happened. I don't know why anything Batman has to be dour and makes you feel like shit.
He went on this exact
Drives me crazy.
tear.
He was so much fun when I was a child.
Yes.
I don't really know what happened.
We had this exact same conversation.
He's putting on iMusic and listening to Nirvana for a half hour?
iMusic. Eye makeup.
Eye makeup? Whatever. I'm done.
No, I mean, we were talking about the villains or whatever, but yeah, just like, why is this the Joker?
The Penguin Show? You're going to look at that thing?
No. No.
I just don't understand. It's like I can sense the divergence. It's been happening for a while, admittedly, where it's like pop culture and then like Willie got left behind. Like I don't know what my like last year for these things was.
That's really true, though. I mean, there's always stuff that you like and don't like, you know?
Yes, of course. There's always going to be
So I don't know
something
if
that I
that's
do
really true.
like. But I used to like Batman. I guess
well,
that's
yes,
the thing.
I know.
It's a case by case. Where
Yeah.
did Batman just drive past me and I got stuck
I know. I feel that way, too.
sitting on the side of the road?
I used to love my Batman.
What happened? I used to be in the Batmobile.
Yeah, me too,
And
right
now I'm
with
in
them.
the goddamn gutter.
Me too.
And just
I know.
pop culture. You know that Deadpool, he designed his next popcorn bucket. Do you know what they announced this? You know that popcorn buckets are for some reason a huge deal now?
Yes, especially after that Dune one.
Dune, come on, man. So
Is Deadpool's a play on the Dune one? Because it feels like, is it?
they haven't revealed it yet, but they did reveal last week that Deadpool's popcorn bucket was designed by Deadpool himself. It is so tiresome. I'm made so tired by the conventional industry's desperate attempts to appeal to everybody all the time. Deadpool sucks ass.
I've successfully ignored Deadpool. I know almost nothing about Deadpool. I've barely heard Deadpool talk. Anything I've heard Deadpool say, I don't like, but I've pretty much built a wall around myself that's impenetrable to Deadpool.
Thank good for you.
Yeah.
Because I am inundated with Ryan Reynolds doing his best Ace Ventura impression and pretending to be hilarious.
I don't like this man.
Oh, that's right. It's me. Surprise.
I don't know how.
It's me, Marvel Jesus. And everybody fucking loved it.
I don't know how we as a society
It's unacceptable.
have let him through. It is absolutely unacceptable.
It's Christian Slater is to Jack Nicholson as Ryan Reynolds is to Jim Carrey. Mm-hmm. I feel that he has just copied the cadence of 90s Jim Carrey.
It's insane.
And gotten away with it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how we've allowed it. I think it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And at least Christian Slater is not annoying.
Yeah.
This is very annoying.
It's very annoying. There was a reveal.
And I also think that Christian Slater's eyebrows are just his eyebrows. Like a lot of it is just,
I like Christian Slater.
Oh, I do too. I think that a lot of the comparison is just like his face is just like that.
Yes.
So it's just like, what are you going to do?
It's not his fault.
Ryan Reynolds is doing a thing.
Ryan Reynolds has made a choice and it's been working. They always like leak information. So like they had this. We're done with Sweeney Todd, by the way.
We're done. We could just end.
People can leave if you need to leave. I have a few
what?
things.
Why don't we say goodbye?
I know I have a few things I need to say to you. Just real quick about Ryan Reynolds, please.
No, I'm happy to do them. I was going to say we say goodbye.
Oh, we say goodbye? Okay, thank you. All right, yes. We'll see you next week, everybody, at GTTU Pod, patreon.com/GTTU Pod. I wish we'd signed off before I started to dump on Joker, because I know people love that. So I feel like that should have also been in this back portion.
That's okay.
Whatever.
Talking. All right.
So we'll see you next week, everybody.
Yes.
If you want to stick around and hear us complain just about movies and Ryan Reynolds.
Happy to.
That happens now.
Okay.
So they had some sort of a screening thing. CinemaCon, does that sound right to you?
Yes.
And at it, they showed a clip.
My dentist went to CinemaCon.
Is that right?
Remember me telling you about that last year?
I think so.
Yeah. Because his friend works for something. Okay. Anyway.
So at CinemaCon, they played one of those silence your phones.
Yeah.
But it was Hugh Jackman as Wolverine from the new Deadpool, and he goes, "Turn off your fucking phones, bub," which is fine, whatever.
Wolverine's the new Deadpool?
Yeah, it's called Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, I guess I knew that. I forgot that. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so he goes, "Turn off your fucking phone, bub." And then Ryan Reynolds goes, "That just made my dick vibrate."
Even you doing that is so annoying to me. I really find this man repellent.
Yeah. Okay, big guy. It's time for some slice and dice, and then we get chimichangas.
It's on the verge.
That just made my dick vibrate. It's so fucking annoying.
It's on the verge of how repelled I am by James Corden. I really...
You don't see him anymore, though.
No, luckily. But when Carpool Karaoke was everywhere, and I swear, I'm not even doing a bit. This is not a fun quirk of mine or something. He physically annoys me so much. It's if you have an itch or something and you can't stand it.
Yeah.
He irritates me terribly.
Yes.
And I feel the same about Ryan Reynolds.
Something about Ryan Reynolds, this is maybe a little too petty, and I'll own it.
Okay.
But there's a quality he gets in his face when he's being particularly cheeky. It's almost like his eyes are a little crossed. He's looking in the middle distance.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, big guy.
God. Yeah, no,
it's fucking
absolutely,
horrible.
Absolutely.
So that and the Joker movie, I'm really concerned about. Not the least reason for which is that I have seen both Deadpool movies, and I hate this goddamn character. Periodically, I tweet, and nobody cares about this. I don't expect anyone to. I say, if Deadpool's so self-aware, how come he doesn't know he sucks?
That's good.
I tweet that periodically just to see if anybody else agrees yet, and no one ever seems to. And the Joker thing, I'm very worried about seeing a lot of, because I did see Joker as well. I'm really worried that I am going to see both of these movies.
Of course you are.
And I don't know why I'm doing it.
Of course you are. Of course you are. Do you still have your AMC Unlimited thing?
You bet I do.
Oh my God.
You bet your britches.
Of here. Get out of here.
And he's got Golden Girls stuff. He likes all the things
Mimi
things. You liked Golden Girls in a fun way. In a proper way.
An actual way.
And then he'll look at he'll open a Playboy that has the Golden Girls on the front of it or something where it's who's what? Now there's a whole magazine that exists for the purpose of this joke in this world, whatever.
Yeah. Preposterous.
Oh, and he says he calls people hilarious names he'll be like, "Okay, dick fingers, let's dance." It'd just be something like Twinkle Toes kind of notion, but crude. All right, Twinkle Toes, but it'll be some disgusting.
How is he with his children? Can he even talk normal?
Time to go to bed, Junior.
Yeah, I guess he can just do that. How
know.
can he do it without calling somebody dick fingers or whatever?
It's a great question.
Did Clue just stop, you think, his version of Clue? I wonder if that's just halted. I would check every once in a while, and I haven't checked in a while.
I forgot about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have major concerns there, though. All right.
Terrible. I don't even have concerns. It's a certainty that would be terrible. Unless he's just producing and wasn't in it, but there's no way.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oofy, moo, moo, moofy.
Yeah. It was me in the bathroom with the Penthouse magazine.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
Some gross asshole thing to say. Just Van Wilder horse shit.
Oh my God.
Maggie asked.
Oh yeah, was he Van Wilder?
Yeah, oh yeah, he was Van Wilder. This guy's been in our
orbit for a really long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he talk like that in Van Wilder?
You bet he did.
He probably did, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
I don't remember him
Should
talking.
we watch Van Wilder?
No.
Double feature with The Rise of Taj after?
I remember thinking Van Wilder was funny, actually.
So do I.
Yeah.
That's again, it's another thing that makes it hurt.
I know. I wouldn't be averse, actually. I'd be curious because I know
Van Wilder.
Because I know that I thought it was funny, so now I'm curious.
Horrid.
Yeah, I know. Wretched.
Abhorrent.
Yeah, vile. I don't know.
All right, enough. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us. Maggie asks if we have a P.O. box. Yes, we do. I believe you can find it on scaryfun.fun. There should be a contact
Why, Maggie? Are you going
page.
to send us like a poster of Ryan Reynolds?
Oh, I mean, no, we do not have a P.O. box. No, we do not.
So funny.
All right, we're done.
All right, everybody.
It's over now.
Well, thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you, everybody. We'll be back next week with something different.
Yes, we will.
Until that time comes,
Yeah.
we must travel.
Back to the netherworld. Go.
I don't want any Ryan Reynolds shit in the mail. I really don't.
We're going to get a whole bunch of like Deadpool keychains and stuff.
I really can't stand him. Like, yeah.
No, I can't either. It's terrible.
No.
I did see Detective Pikachu and I liked it.
Yeah.
It didn't have anything to do with him, but I enjoyed Detective Pikachu.
He was Detective Pikachu.
No, Pikachu is Detective Pikachu. He was
Wasn't
just
he
along
Pikachu?
for the ride.
I thought he played Pikachu.
Yeah, but I guess he's not being that Ryan Reynolds-y or something.
Uh-oh, that just made me Squirtle.
No, I don't think so. Oh, God.
All right.
All right.
I need a break. I need to get a cup of coffee or some water or something.
You need a cup of coffee? Are you insane?